Hey guys, Thomas from Team Sakurazo here. Come at you guys with 5 cards that you guys need to get from Rarity Collection 2. Now that people are looking at other sets like Terminal Revenge releasing, and people have finally moved away from Rarity Collection 2, and we see where the realistic prices stand, now's the time to go in and plan for the future. So this is going to be like your 5 cards out of your trade binder for this month. If you guys like these kinds of videos, make sure to smash that like button, because if I see 110 likes, I'm going to squeeze one more in before June ends. It could be a 5 cards from OTS, it could be a 5 cards just in general to get, and I will squeeze one of those for you guys. Subscribe if you've not already. For buying anything on TCG Play, use my link down in the description below. Helps out the channel to no additional cost to you. And thank you to all my YouTube channel members. You guys are awesome. Now, we're going to get right into this here. So, Chaos Hunter is the first card I have here, Quarter Century. A lot of people are forgetting how good of a side deck card this is. This card will never be good enough to main, in my opinion, unless circumstances are right. But it has been a side deck card that has come back and forth as Yu-Gi-Oh! Has progressed on many times. The last time this was actually really good and will be good again is if Flu comes back in the format, Exo Sister, and decks like that. When your opponent special summons a monster, you discard a card, you special summon this card from your hand, and your opponent cannot banish cards. So it is pretty good. Now, it's not as good as you think against Kashtira, because unfortunately, they made this card a level 7. And yeah, if they just big eye this, they can keep on playing. So this is not that good against Kashtira. I know when you read this, you're like, why is he not mentioning Kashtira? You can test if a Kashtira player is good or if they bricked really hard, depending on what they do when they see this hit the field. But this is also good against Runic and Bystials, although with Bystials, you have to kind of assume they have it because Bystials do their damage real quick. But you get how good this card is. Now, this is the Quarter Century. This is not the Platinum, because if you look at this price right here, you would think we're looking at a Platinum. Quarter Centuries are $3, $4. If this comes into the format, this is probably going to go up to 10s to 15s easily. And this is a card that comes in and out of the format quite a bit already. You know, sometimes it's out for 2 years and then it comes back for a couple months, or like out close enough to a year. I also think that depending on what Branded does in the future, this card could also come back. I definitely think this is a side deck card that you should be getting right now, because you can get a playset for not even $10. Granted, though, and since I'm doing this on TCG Play, I could do this. Yeah, you have them at 3, and yeah, they're selling at 3s, as you see here, but they are going up to 4s for some of them, right? So 10 to 12 for a playset, roughly. Definitely a card that you should be getting. Also, it's not all Quarter Centuries here that I have. The second card I have today is Bingo Machine Go Quarter Century. Now, this is a card when it first came out, its original Ultra was $40 to $60. And then it got a reprint, and a lot of players who needed to play this for Blue Eyes World collectors were like, oh, it has a secret. That's cool. And it was about $5, $6. And then it slowly went up to $8, $9, slowly went up a bit more, and it reached a peak of $20 to $25, actually $25. But it would always bounce between those two. And now that we have this print, I'm telling you right now, this is a collector card, and it is also used in the deck itself. At least right now, until we get more Blue Eye support. Maybe this leaves the deck, possibly. I'm not going to pretend like I'm super educated on it, but seems like it won't leave the main deck. Now, collectors are used to paying a lot of money for their cards, especially when they only have one print and they're hard to get. When they see a Quarter Century at $6, you know what they're going to do? They're probably going to go ahead and buy these. This is a card that's going to be a slow burner. If you are looking for a card to get that can go up, or spend a certain amount of money on a safer card that can go up, this is it. Because yes, they're $6 right now. They were actually 5 with a few cheaper listings, but about $5 when I went over it first and told people to get them. And now it's kind of going up already $1.50. Which is, you know, if you got them at 5, hey, you got them for a little cheaper. That's always good, right? Definitely a card that can hit at least 15, 20. And it's something that you don't have to worry about, oh, if the meta changes, if this happens, if that happens. This is a pretty safe bet for a card that can go up. And this game, if you've been watching my channel for a while, or you've been watching other YouTubers, know that, hey, safer investments and safer cards to buy that can go up get harder and harder to find, especially nowadays. So this is definitely one of them. I would go grab yours for 5 while you can. Now, the third card I have here is Secret Solemn Judgment, actually. Now, Solemn Judgment has been a money card all the time. Like, Konami will not print it for a while, and copies, even commons, will go from $3, $4, $5, with supers hitting maybe 6, 7, 8. and then they'll reprint it and they'll make it pretty accessible. Like Secret Slayers, they made it a super rare, right? Well, guess what happened over time? It started at $1. I had it in a 5 cards out of your trade binder back then, back when before I even had like maybe 1,500 subs. And by the way, thank you guys so much for 5K subs. I know you guys are tired of hearing me say it, but thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. But I talked about getting it at $1 to in a 5 cards out of your trade binder. It was probably one of the first 10 5 cards out of your trade binder I actually made. And that card went up to $5, $6, $7. Solemn Judgment is a card that comes in and out of the game. Collectors like it, right? It's meta relevant. It's old format. It's a lot of things. Now that they finally put it in Rarity Collection, which honestly was a great reason that they did, especially since it did not have a quarter century, a starlight, and their prismatic ultis don't replace ultis because they look bad, in my opinion. Sorry, if you got a dislike from that it is what it is. But right now, history repeats itself. These are $2, so they're a little higher than I thought. About $2 here, but you know that people are going to be listing them for less. But even at $2, think about like this. If these supers and ultras could go from 1 to 7, what can these secrets go to? At minimum, let's say 7, right? At least 5 or 6. Granted, it may take a while for that since Rarity Collection finally did spread it out, but their cards are just always going to need reprints / benefit from them. And this is definitely one of those cards. An extremely good penny stock. I didn't want to go over just quarter centuries. I know you guys like the cheap picks, and happen to be a lot of these this one. Now, for our 4th card, I actually have a Rescue Cat quarter century pulled up here. I have not only the regular version, about $3 going up to $4, but I have the alt art that's about a little less than $3 here, going up to $3. I personally think that most people prefer the original art of Rescue Cat over the alt art. I definitely did, but I couldn't make the judgment fully because we only had a gold version of the alternate art for a little while until we got Rarity Collection 2. But back to the reason why you guys should get this. The reason you guys should be getting this is because this is a card that is extremely good in older formats. Now, the first thing a lot of people are going to think of is X-Sabers. And I get why people think that because this does have a place in X-Saber, but it's not as good as people think it is. It's actually a lot better in Gladiator Beast, which is one of the better Edison decks. And we're getting a lot of people getting into Edison. I literally have seen in the last year and a half so many people get into Edison that I think even casuals know the term now, which is great. And Rescue Cat is definitely a card that is pretty broken in that format. Maybe broken's a little too strong, but I always felt like it's a very strong card. Now, $3 here is really good because people were paying like $3 for commons, $5 for commons, $6, $7 for commons. This card has always been a money common until it got its gold reprints, and it would always bounce back and forth. Now it's very accessible, but a lot of people in Modern do not need this card. So this is kind of seen as a bulk quarter century in a way, when in reality, if you look at how many formats it's been good in that people might not like as much, it's kind of ridiculous. As well as I still think this card could come back to Modern with the right deck. Maybe windups make a comeback if we could get Carrier back, because you guys didn't know, this card does have a place in windups. In fact, there was actually a very popular windup FTK with this card, using everybody's favorite boy, Blazing Pyro Phoenix, which is a fusion that burns essentially, and it's been used in FTKs ever since it came out. I would even argue that the 2012 tins were a mistake, not just for Galaxy Eyes, but bringing that card into existence. But I'm digress too much. This card can also be good in Modern because of other ways that we have not figured out. Because you have to remember, it specials too from the deck, but its effects are negated. And remember, in older formats, we do have the pre-errata Rescue Cat, which is very different. I think $3 is really good for this card. Again, it could be used in a lot of older formats. It could maybe be used with windups if they come back, or other decks. Or if they make some type of Beast Earth deck in the future, people are going to look at Rescue Cat because it's sort of generic, unless it's too slow. Granted, if they can just get it out for free, if they could get this, because you have to remember, this doesn't have to be summoned. You send it. So if they can somehow get on board without using their normal summon from the deck, it's basically, yay, you can get 2 other cards out from your deck. I still think this card could be broken in the future. Maybe that's the Yugi Boomer part of me. $3 though, you're not going to want to miss it. And then the last card I have here is Janlock Bird. Now, I'm going to explain why I don't have the quarter centuries here first. Now, the reason I don't have the quarter centuries here is because they're about $30 and higher, and a lot of people have speculated this to get hit. Konami has hit hand traps previously, and while I don't think that Droll should be a card that's hit, it's very frustrating to play against as a ritual player, especially someone who plays voiceless voice, but it's a necessary evil. But at this point, I'm almost blaming Konami for making a necessary evil as often as it is. Droll is something to fix the format real quick and then leaves as quickly as it came in. Now it feels like more of a mainstay because you have to. And it's even unfortunately killed decks like Vanadium that never really had a chance to shine because Droll is just an answer sometimes to the game, where Droll will win you the game. In fact, people will say something like, oh, Ash can win you the game. I really think Droll can win you the game depending on what your opponent has and what it does, what they don't. So with that being out of the way, that's why I didn't choose the quarter century, because it does have some risk. The gain can maybe go up, but not by too much. While as these secret rares, people will be like, oh, I'll pay a few bucks for secret rares, right? Because right now it's $2. Oh, I'll pay, $5 each for a secret rare. That's completely fine. Maybe even $6. And these types of staples, like if you look at Rarity Collection 1, we had stuff like imperms. Imperms, like secrets were like $3-4. Now they're at $8-9. You have other staples that have gone up from Rarity Collection 2 as well, or cards that have been seen as possible staples that see more and more play. So I think Secret Drolls are definitely a penny stock that could go up. Remember in Tactical Masters, I actually said the same thing about $2 rare Janlock Birds, and those went up to $5-6 each, and those were just rares, and they weren't exactly hard to pull. You got at least one in every box, if not 2 to 3. And they still went up. Imagine if they short printed rare Janlock Bird. We'd probably see more closer to $8-9 from that. So now we see history repeating itself, kind of similar how Solemn Judgment went, and it's $2, 2.5, right? But it's a secret rare, so 50 extra cents, sure. Definitely a card that you could grab, although again there is some risk if this card gets hit, and I know some people are gonna be like, oh well, Droll won't get banned. Look, I don't think it's going to, most likely, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say there's a 0% chance of something when I know there's not, especially because it's Konami. There's not a 100 or 0% chance of anything with them at this point, especially with what they're doing with Sealed and what they did with Retro Pack, right? They're off their rocker, right? Konami is out here for all the smoke. So definitely this one's a bit more risky. I would definitely say the best ones, in my honest opinion, is the Chaos Hunter. Well, these four mainly, and then Droll for last. I mean, all of them are really, really good. I'm not going to put them in order. But with that being said, leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Remember, 110 likes. I will do another one before June ends if I get 110 likes. I want to know what you guys think of my picks, and what other picks do you think are good and why. I love discussing with you guys in the comment section. Even if you disagree with me, I love disagreements a lot. Check out our sponsors in the description below as well. I know some of you have been checking out Whatnot, and I think that's awesome. Remember, if you register using my code, you get $15 to purchase other stuff. It's really cool. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.